Hello and welcome. This is Puneet and you are listening to Galata. With you and I today, we are joined by a founder that has been passionate about sustainability and being conscious in everything he does. He's been the brains behind the famous Gudgum that you have definitely seen on Shark Tank. Since then, he's also built another venture where he explores and experiments with softies, something that is very close to my heart, at a place called Softcorner in Vivipuram, Bangalore. More than anything else, I believe this founder and I spoke about how he has been figuring out business ideas, thoughts that vibe with him, testing them out, raising funds from his dad, figuring out a product market fit, testing it out, and then scaling it. So please join me in this conversation with the founder of Gudgum, Mayank Nagori. My usual first question, Mayank, is what were the conversations around the dinner table when you were growing up?
We're a very small family, but my grandparents had one of the oldest businesses here in Bangalore, and through that grew a large family, and people split out and built businesses for themselves. So since when I was a kid, I've seen my cousins or my uncles around me, take that risk and build something for themselves. Nobody in the whole family has ever worked like on a salary or any sort of corporate job. Everybody is just pure play business. So dinner table conversations usually revolved around business, revolved around I'd say even sustainability. Even when sustainability was not the buzzword, we would carry tote bags in our vehicles, or my mom would not ever take plastic covers from vegetable vendors, but still take the veggies in a cotton bag or a jute bag, right? And we used to carry our own water bottles and stuff like that. So I think conversations around dinner table, to be specific, there's nothing such, but more around how we can be responsible people. And that being said, how do you grow good businesses? How do you be with people? Just overall.
Yeah, the typical family conversation. Yeah. So this was a joint family that you grew up in?
No. So my father doesn't have any brothers, but my great grandfather had brothers. So that's the family that I call cousins. But apart from that, I don't have any cousins. It's just my father and 4 elder sisters.
Were you involved in the family business growing up after school? Did that happen? Did you have that part? Galle pe baithna or something like that?
No, actually. My dad was quite, my father was quite clear since the beginning that you're picking a line which is not something that usually Marwadis do. You'll usually find people pick a commerce background, go to the same Jain College, CMS, etc., and take a BBA or a BCom, and then go join their family business. But I never had a liking for commerce. I wanted to be a doctor. I did my entrances to be a doctor, and so we write physics, chemistry, biology, and I just happened to write math, just so that engineering could be a backup option as well. And I got a rank which is about 1600 in Karnataka in medicine, and I wouldn't get a seat in Bangalore because of general merit, right? And typical Marwadi grandmother, she said, I'm not letting you go outside of Bangalore for 5 years. And we've grown up around grandmom, so like that obedient kid, okay, aap jaise bologe waise. And the second option was engineering always. And I had a liking for food when I grew up. When kids usually eat Maggie, it's around 6th and 7th grade, people usually get introduced to processed food. I used to ask questions to my parents as to how is Maggie made, or how does this stay good in a packet for a year and not what mom makes in the kitchen. So I was inquisitive from then about what we eat. So I knew chemical engineering had an elective called food technology, which I could take or which I could study and then go on and do my master's in foods. I was never gravitated towards the family business. I did usually still go and help dad.
What business was
we
it?
have an architectural hardware business. So I wanted to learn how to deal with consumers, because it was a consumer facing role, doing sales, talking to them, giving them the right fit, showing them around. So customer satisfaction is key for any businessman, right? And any experience in that consumer facing role will go a long way in whatever business you're building. So I did go there, but my dad was very clear since the beginning that you're not coming and sitting on the galla, because once you see money, you're not going to study. And I think that's how it works, right? Like if you see how money is generated, you usually then gravitate away from excelling or learning. So even if I went to my dad's shop, I wouldn't be at the cash counter, but I'd actually be talking to consumers.
You wouldn't be doing the cash counter work, but you'd be selling.
Yeah.
How old were you when you were selling actively? That's very interesting.
I went there even in my engineering times. Not every day. In my holidays, right? Like when usually people would want to go intern somewhere, I'd go to my dad and say, okay, I want to do, and did a lot of different stuff that usually Marwadi businessmen don't. Like a bit of social media marketing, right? Like now it's become the norm, but back then you just have a shop and you'd expect consumers to walk in. But a little bit of performance marketing back then, building an Instagram page, an online presence, Google listing, why Just Dial is so important, how do you generate reviews, why feedback is important, and all of that. So introduced all of those systems so that we could understand what people liked about the business, what people didn't like about the business. So putting a little bit of Gen Z stuff into an age-old business is what I was doing there.
And who's encouraging you? Dad was encouraging you all the while.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody asked me who's my role model, I'd say my father. Because he lost his father when he was 2 years old, and he's built it from scratch. And we had a business which was about 100 years old, which is into stainless steel utensils or even brassware, etc., which is still existing. But we split out of that business in 2003 because of some family feud. And in 2003, my dad was about 30 years old, and he built this business from scratch, the hardware business from scratch. So it's basically a person of my age in 2003, what I am today. So there's a lot to learn from people that you can chat with on a daily basis. Like it's very easy to say my role model is Ratan Tata or Virat Kohli, but you've never even spoken to them. But like my father is somebody I sit with on the dinner table every day, and there's everything we discuss. So there's so much that I've learned only from him. So I don't have to look out for a role model elsewhere.
My dad got very upset when I said, no, I'm not going to be a part of the family business. It took a long while to convince him. But in your case, it was the opposite, where your dad was more than forthright saying, I don't want you to be a part of this business. That's very unusual.
Yeah, very unusual. But I think he also sensed it early. I think trade is eventually going to die. And that's the differentiator between Marwadis and the Parsis. Both of us are minority communities, but the Parsis have thrived because they have got into brand building and manufacturing, whereas us, the Marwadis, have been sole traders, that we just trade in commodities. Very minimal number of people have actually built their own brands basis of manufacturing products, right? So trade was there, and he said there has to be a separate line which could somewhere thrive even if trade does not. Say what we do at the hardware shop is we deal in 20 brands products, and if these brands decide to go direct to consumer, they cut out all the middlemen. So the business is always like it's there today, it's not tomorrow, because you're reliant on a third party. But here you're building your own brand, so you have all the authority to build it the way you want to. So he said, okay, now I'm anyways looking after the business. You can take your time and build this out, and I mean, rest is all history.
Tell me, how were you able to raise 6 lakh rupees from him? I just heard that one line doing the
That was a very small call, actually. My father,
small call.
in the sense, I was hesitant to take more.
Oh, okay.
My father would have given more if I asked him to. So I think in my mind, I'd say I'm a very defensive. If I would compare business with cricket.
Defensive, like conservative?
Yes, conservative. Okay. Business with cricket, I play a lot of cricket.
Like the ones and twos.
Exactly. So I'm a very defensive sort of a person. In business, I'd say I'll get to a point where my capacity at manufacturing is reached and then look to upscale that manufacturing. Whereas the other people would first buy like a massive manufacturing line and then figure out how to build the business quickly. Right? So I'd say, abhi ke liye aap 6 lakh de do, and then I'll take more.
Take 2 steps back and tell me.
I built the product. I made samples of the chewing gum at home during lockdown, and
this was a lockdown baby.
It was a lockdown baby, yeah. And we made about 300 samples, and we floated it around to friends of family, etc. And a small Google form, which basic questions asking whether you'd buy this product, if yes, at what price, what sort of packaging, where do you usually buy chewing gum, do you like the taste of it, etc. And we understood that, okay, overall, what we think of a business is what the consumer also is thinking, that हम जो प्राइस पे बेचने का सोच रहे हैं वो लोग उसी प्राइस पे खरीदने का भी सोचेंगे. And these are the same touch points that we thought of, and everything made sense that, okay, 300 of our ideal consumers have kind of agreed with what we want to do. And Dad loved the taste of the gum. He is an avid chewing gum eater.
Oh yeah?
And the fact that it ethically...
Because he smokes?
No. So he used to chew tobacco. Now he stopped doing that. Now he does nicotine chewing gums.
Okay.
Yeah. And
just switch to a better habit.
Exactly. And ethically it made sense. I always wanted to do something clean label. Like, even after finishing my masters, I consulted for a few companies. I helped them develop new products, but I did not deal with any company making a high sugar or a high salt or a high fat product, because I didn't want to make products that I wouldn't consume myself, right? So I've been a firm believer of selling what I would eat myself, and chewing gum is a cleaner product. It reduces the amount of plastic that's going out in the society. And I had like a solid plan with respect to sales and distribution. So I think I just pitched that to my dad. I said, okay, it's a small punt. छोटे से चालू करेंगे. We'll see how it goes. I don't want to go all in and buy like equipment and buy like truckloads of raw material. We'll start small and we'll reinvest in the company. And that's how I landed that 6 lakh rupee check. But my dad, on the contrary, was like, if you want to do it, rather do it big, right? Like, why do you want to just have like pilot? He said, you're going to reach a particular point, because they look at the business from the other side, because they've built a business from scratch. They know what it feels like when you start and what it feels like 20 years after. So he probably was standing on the other side of the bridge and saying, okay, maybe you'll regret this. Maybe you should start larger.
Yeah. So you'll end up at a bigger place.
Yeah.
So how large was he thinking? I'm just curious.
He said, okay, why don't you just start from at least 10x of what I was thinking initially. About 60 lakhs. Right? So like get like a decent amount of equipment, get a larger space, get a larger team. But I said, I don't know how this product is going to perform. So I don't want to spend a lot of money and burn my hands, because it's hard-earned money, right? It's not VC money. It's money in the family. So I'd want to, constructively use it.
So take me 2 more steps back, Mayank. How did you land up on bubblegum? Out of all the things that you did in the past companies, I couldn't find any correlations. I'm just curious, how did you end up at bubblegum?
A lot of people think like, why chewing gum? But I used to chew a lot of gum when I was in school.
We all did.
Yeah. And particularly when I was in my 10th standard, there was this myth, or I don't know what it was, going around, which said, if you chewed a particular flavor of gum while you studied and you chewed the same flavored gum while you wrote the exam, you would remember things better.
Do you believe that?
I think it's true. There are scientific studies around it. I think it's called olfactory memory. Olfactory is like aroma. Aroma based memory, right? So there's certain instances where if you wear a perfume that you wore 7 years ago, and you did not for 7 years and you suddenly wear it today, you will reminisce the days when you used to actually wear that perfume.
That's why you should not go to a perfume showroom. It will remind you to me of your exes.
So, I used to chew a lot of gum, and that's when my geography teacher told me that regular chewing gums are all made of plastic, and this sort of plastic takes longer than usual carry bags, etc. take to biodegrade because of the way it's discarded. Right? Carry bags can usually, or water bottles can be taken and recycled and repurposed, but chewing gum, the way we discard it, it's usually in a piece of paper or directly onto the street. Unless and until somebody is manually scavenging it, it cannot be recycled, right? And like I mentioned, our childhood has been more on the sustainability side. So I asked myself a question, is this essential? Like, is this plastic essential for me right now? Maybe at that point in time, using a plastic straw to drink tender coconut was essential because there were no paper straws or metal straws available, but chewing gum was not essential. So I stopped chewing gum for 7 years until when I was in my master's, I realized, and when I was doing my master's, it was more of application-based studying where you do your own research, stuff like that. And that's when I realized that, chewing gums were actually not even plastic. The original chewing gums that the Mayan people consumed was completely plant-based and biodegradable. And I said, why don't we get that back into India? So that was always there at the back of my mind. I did not start Gudgum in 2017. I worked with a couple of startups. I did sales for them. I first developed the product and then I did sales. And when I actually went into the supermarkets with a beverage in my hand and doing sales, I realized that selling beverages and snacks in India is very difficult because supermarkets are small. Beverages particularly sit in a fridge, and the fridge space is the smallest in the supermarket. It's usually the same 2 fridges from Coca-Cola or Pepsi that's there, and there'll be 50 brands swamped into that same fridge. And selling beverage is very difficult because shipping is difficult, the shelf life is low, visibility is low. Similarly, snacks are usually air-filled. So even though the market sizes were large, it was difficult to sell because you wouldn't stand out of the crowd in the supermarket, right? But chewing gum was something that nobody was disrupting. There was nobody.
What else did you have besides chewing gum as an option?
I did think of instant food for a long time. I still do instant food. But initially I was thinking of building a brand like a Haldiram's or an MTR where it's better for you sort of instant food. But then I realized that also is a very cluttered market. Yeah. And in India, there's a requirement for a very differentiated product if you want to grow fast, right? And confectionery or chewing gum per se, if I asked you what are the brands, you'd say the same Orbit, Boomer, Happy Dent, Center Fresh. All of these brands are owned by just 2 companies, Wrigley's and Perfetti. They rule the complete chewing gum industry, and there was no startup disrupting that space. Whereas in every other industry like the beverage, the snacks, the cookies, or the breakfast cereals, there were startups in that space. And moreover, in the supermarket, where do you see a chewing gum? At the billing till, right? So that means I'm getting the most premium real estate to sell my product by default. And there's a strong differentiator where I say regular chewing gums are made of plastic, Gudgum is not. That sticks with you, right? So I don't have to. Usually people ask like, why do I have to buy product A when product B is also very similar? But in my case, there's no product B which is very similar to Gudgum. So a very strong differentiator. It was a small product, high value, high shelf life, and I can ship to anywhere in India from Bangalore. Because it's small products, high value. If I was shipping beverages, it would be super expensive. I would need to have warehouses across the country, but in chewing gum, I can do it. I can build a all India business sitting out of my own city. So business-wise, it made sense. Ethically, it made sense that I'm reducing the amount of plastic burden. I'm improving the way people consume, and chewing gum has been something which nobody ever changed. It's always, and nobody ever questioned. A lot of people tell me, hey, I did not even know chewing gums were made of plastic until I heard about it. So it's usually always been artificial and nobody was doing anything about it. We just happened to do something about it.
Tell me something that vibed also but didn't work in the past.
Which one?
Some idea that vibed but didn't work out. How did you bounce back?
So with the dehydration business, usually the first product that we initially wanted to launch was fruit chips. We wanted to make watermelon chips, pineapple chips, apple chips, and these were completely oil free. So all we do is make very thin slices of apples and watermelons and dry them to like bone dry crispness. And we did, retail them in a few places. But when we realized that, boss, India में 20 grams fruit के लिए 50 rupees कोई नहीं देगा या 80 rupees कोई नहीं देगा. But what we had to see here is that I was using 500-gram fruit, drying it down to 20 grams and putting it into a packet, and that's why it was worth $50. So
people don't see that.
Yeah. So I spent a lot of time actually working on that packaging and set up a website for it and stuff like that. And I'd say that's something that didn't really work out, and that's why we took a pivot that now we're not going to be a B2C
when
business.
Did this happen? And
this was in 2019. Yeah, 2019. The first thing that I bought in my company was the dehydrator, which is a drying machine. And with that, I was trying like multiple things: drying food, drying grains, drying fruits, vegetables, and stuff like that. Figure out where I can find a use case for this. And there were pineapple chips, watermelon chips, like I mentioned. They were super tasty, but didn't find a product market fit or a product and price point fit, because India is a very price sensitive market. Usually in the supermarket, people look at the price first, then the taste, and third the health aspect of it, right? Whereas it should be the other way around, where health should come first, taste should come second, and price should come third. And that's why you'll see, India is a very Indian population is one of the most diseased population with respect to diabetes being so common or heart issues being so common. That's because of our dietary preferences. So I think at that point I realized that India maybe is not mature enough for a watermelon chip when people are still loving their potato chips. So I said, okay, let's stop this.
And this is 2019, so right around when you started Gudgum.
Yeah. 1 year before Gudgum.
Nice. And so I'm just curious, how did the family equation work when businesses like this didn't work? How were you able to raise funds again?
So like the dehydrator machine is capital investment, right? There's not a lot of raw material that you're losing on it. It's your asset. So I bought that machine and I knew that I would do something about it, even if the fruit or vegetables didn't work. And I think starting up is all about figuring out, like you do multiple iterations, you find a product market fit and say, this is what works and this is what you can continue to sell. I was basically reimbursing my raw material cost from my father. I'd say, hey, I did a trial with these many products and I need money for that trial. That's all. And I'd live out of a pocket money. And that's the pro of being a Marwadi son, right? Like you don't have to stay away from your parents. You stay in the same house. You don't have to pay rent. You don't have to pay for your food. Everything is paid for. So you can trial and error.
Yeah, this studio is a standing testament.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, I think family equation was all chill.
I'm just curious, because a lot of listeners, once they graduate or rather right around graduating, they get very held back from asking money from their parents. They're like, they've already done so much, I can't have to ask. So they really get in a shell and instead choose to work and try, thinking that they'll save and they'll start later. I'm just curious with you,
I think,
how are you able to comfortably ask for?
That's a Marwadi background. Okay. Like a proud Marwadi, right? Like, yeah, I mean, I've never in my mind have I ever got the thought of, staying away from parents or getting a different house or, it's just very open, like, hey, I'm building a business. I need investment. I know you have the money. Give me the money. That's all. Simple, straight up. No beating around the bush.
I wish more of you did this. More of me did this.
Yeah.
So you got the 6 lakhs.
Yeah.
Wait, did you dispose this dehydrator machine?
No, we still have it. We still make the instant food.
Oh.
The custom made instant food.
Intriguing.
We still do that.
How expensive was this?
It was about 4.5 lakh rupees. Not too much.
Yeah.
Like I said, I play on the back foot.
You play on the back foot.
Yeah.
You do dip testing.
Yes.
Thoda karke dekhte hain,
correct.
to fir
yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Even with the chewing gum, we did the same, right? Like until a point before Shark Tank, even now, I'd say since day one we've been at a point where jitna chewing gum banta hai utna bik jata hai. We never have anything surplus that we actually have to go out there and proactively sell. So when supply reaches here, demand reaches here. When demand reaches here, supply reaches here. So we've only been dabbling around. We've never, so even now, that's one of the major problems. That's why we're looking to raise funds also, is because we want to increase our production capacity. Because sales will only multifold increase if our production capacity increases. So that's like just an example of saying that.
What are you trying to raise right now?
We're looking to raise about 3 crore. That's to grow our team size. Right now it's a very small team. We're about 16 people, 12 people in production, 4 people in the back end who look after everything that's supply chain, business development, product development. But we're looking to increase like our offline presence that requires like sales managers across the country. We also need like a good marketing team in-house. So we need funds to be able to fund that.
So give me an understanding. You decided to raise these funds. You have something that's sort of working. What was your next 2 to 3 steps? And what were your assumptions?
No, so it was simple. We bought 6 lakh rupees, took a small space on rent, tested waters. First month we sold about 80,000 worth of gums. We had a team size of 3 people. The next month that grew to 1.2 lakhs.
How did you sell those initial 80,000? 80,000 boxes?
No, 80,000 was the revenue.
So okay, 80,000 rupees was the revenue.
Okay. There was about 800 boxes. Not 800. Yeah, about 800 boxes. But where we sold was very, very, we do a lot of consumer mapping.
What's consumer mapping?
I'd say, who is an ideal consumer of good gum, right? I'd say I would make a consumer journey that, okay, my ideal consumer wakes up in the morning and uses a toothpaste from XYZ company. It might be a Pepsodent, it might be an Oral-B, it might be a Perfora, depending on what his preferences are, right? So then he eats breakfast cereals from this company. Then he takes a cab to work. Then he works out at Cult. And what I would then do is identify the touch points of these particular brands. So even to break it down, I'd say every person who'd chew good gum, every person who'd eat a snack bar from the Whole Truth, you know the brand called the Whole Truth, right, is very probable to also chew good gum. Right? Anybody working out at a Cult,
because you're already health conscious? Is
correct.
That the assumption?
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody working out at Cult is very probable to chew good gum. Anybody who's buying metal straws on a website or like a Brown Living is very probable to chew good gum, because he cares about sustainability and he's buying metal straws, which means if I pitch him good gum, it will sell. So then I would look for stores that also retail these products and place my products there. So I know for a fact that my ideal consumer is interacting with this brand at this store. He is more probable to buy my product at this store as well. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I'm slowly getting you. Yeah. How did you identify this ideal customer, this persona? Or did
I think
you
just understand that, okay, it's a premium product, it's a sustainable product, it's not a very tasty product, which means there's a compromise on taste because of the health aspect. So you identify different brands in that space. Like every vegan consumer could possibly be my consumer. Every person who does not want to consume Red Bull, for example, because it has artificial colors and flavors, is possibly my consumer as well. So there's a lot of understanding. It's how you create an audience that you want to pitch your advertisement to. That, hey, this is my target audience, or hey, this is my target viewer, and advertise to. I don't know if I broke it down well enough, but this is an activity that I learned at my first job, where it's easy, where it makes it easier for you to get away from the noise, right? What is marketing? You're spending money to be visible to your consumer, right? Now, how do you reduce the amount of money that you spend? Is by eliminating a certain amount of users that you don't deem fit for your brand by making a few more corrections into your filtering process. So we found out stores that retail certain products in the vegan space, in the sustainability space, in the natural space, place our products there, and automatically the throughput happened. We did a lot of offline activations where we set up stalls in vegan flea markets, sustainable flea markets, where consumers would walk to the stall, pick the product up, taste it, give first-hand feedback. And because the founders were present there, it also created a good bonding that, hey, the founder is who I spoke to. And we'd be happy to take feedback, because sometimes what happens is what you think is the perfect product as per you might not be the perfect product as per the consumer. So you got to take that initial feedback and retrofit that into your product. So we did a lot of offline activations, and that's really how we build repeats. And there would be a lot of these consumers would first hand say, hey, I live in Cunningham Road. There's a store in Cunningham Road that I usually buy groceries from. I think you should list your product there. So that's how we built our initial traction. And that's really how we also found our initial stores in Chennai, Hyderabad, Delhi, Bombay.
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
Yeah. I'm just curious, when you approached this store as a new brand, you would have had to give it on credit.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you struck that conversation with different stores?
Because I'd done sales before. I've sold beverages. I was working at a company called &Me, which was India's first women's healthcare brand. We used to make beverages beverages basically solving for PCOS, PMS, acne. So I used to go store to store, show them the product. Hey, this is an MRP 80 rupee product. It's a 6-month shelf life. You will get 30% margin on this. You can pay after 20 days, whatever. So I realized that I understood what sort of consumer, what sort of vendor wants what sort of terms, right? So my pitch is very different to different kind of retailers. There are a few retailers who are only about the money. There are a few retailers who want your product because they really think their consumers will like that product. So you pitch different things to different people. And there are a lot of people who pay upfront. There are a lot of people who require a lot of pestering to pay.
Give me an instance or two.
Raichur. There are a couple of stores that I sell in Raichur, which is like tier 3 or tier 2. And a 99 rupee. Yeah, a 99 rupee chewing gum, where chewing gums usually sell at 1 rupee a piece. My chewing gum sells at about 6 rupee a piece. I wouldn't look at Raichur as a target market, but there was this one vegan supermarket which said, hey, I want your product, and I said, okay, I offer 25% margin on MRP, which means if my MRP is 99, I'll give it to you at 75. 25 is your margin. He said, okay, send me 64 units, I'll pay upfront. And I said, boss, you sure this is going to sell? He's like, yeah, please send it across. And there are certain people who I had to pester, saying, hey, I think this product does really well. Hey, I think a lot of my consumers have told that they buy at your store, and I think you should place my product there. And they'd say, no, I don't think this will work. So there's a lot of convincing that's need to be done for certain brands, certain stores like that. And certain stores come inbound, they say, we are bullish about the product, give me the product, and there'll be like immense amount of repeat that happens. So
yeah, those are like ones in 100.
Not once in 100. There are quite a few. Like Shark Tank actually helped us get out there. Get out there, right? Like a lot of people got to know about us, right? Like digital marketing wouldn't do a lot of justice because you don't know who's seeing your ad where, or you don't have that sort of budget. But Shark Tank, you go, there's primetime television, 9 p.m. There's the whole country watching you. So there was a lot of people who came inbound which said, we want your product, we believe in it, we will pay upfront if you want. And that's the best sort of vendor you want.
Yeah, that's something that was beautifully seen in your journey.
Yeah.
Which did not happen in a few other Shark Tank episodes, but in it was very starkly visible how beautifully it played out. Yeah, what do you think were the elements of the pitch that worked out?
I think elements of the pitch
that connected with the audience, not the judges at the moment.
With the audience, I'd say, like I mentioned initially, the strong differentiator or that strong cue or call for action. it's like how the Kurkure video, right? Like Kurkure is made of plastic. Look at this, it burns. Even though we know it's not made of plastic, every time you eat Kurkure, you do remember that video. The same way with chewing gum, the minute we went on to national television and said most chewing gums contain plastic, Gudgum did not or does not, people were like, what? Like we've been living in a lie, or I was these many years old when I found out that chewing gums were made of plastic. So that was very strong. And second, the fact that it's two brothers building businesses out of scratch. And then the fact that we picked a loan from our father, we repaid it back, and all in all, I realized.
Except when you repaid it back.
Yeah, he took interest as well.
Are you serious?
No, I mean, I paid because.
How long did it take you to pay it back, Mayank?
About a year.
And how much interest did it take?
12%. That's. Yeah. So and
that's a very good dad, huh?
And I think also the fact that we were very honest on the tank, which said, yes, our chewing gums don't taste the best. Yes, our packaging is not the best. Yes, we use a cheap plastic inside our packaging, but these are problems that can be solved, right? And we were very honest with our numbers. We were we were just out there. And when you actually have a heart-to-heart conversation with a person, things usually don't. It's not rusty anymore. And that's why I could make that comment on Aman saying, "Hey, you're looking like soft," right? And a lot of people are like, "How did you even get the balls to say that?" And I said, "Dude, like." It was a good atmosphere inside the tank, which you all don't know of, because we were having a good conversation. That two brothers.
It was a much longer conversation.
Much longer conversation as well. And I said, okay, let's just slide this in.
Yeah. I think that editing didn't work right.
Yeah.
Because
there's a lot of things that could have been done better.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that could have been done better. The worst part was when Aman picked out the box and said, "Hey, isme to plastic hai." After that, we were in the tank for 15 minutes just talking about why we chose that particular plastic
cover.
That particular cover. Our complete journey of 1 year, trying out 15 different materials which are biodegradable, and how we failed. And
I think they do a disservice when they upload it on. I saw it on YouTube.
Yeah.
When they say it's a full pitch, but it's actually 60 minutes.
It's actually not.
Why not just put the whole pitch and like a 60-minute or a 1.5 hour?
There should be actually unseen parts of the because that did not do justice when it gave a premeditated opinion to consumers that ये लोग तो hypocrites है. Plastic free chewing gum plastic में बेच रहे, right? But they don't know the backstory. I can say it even now that we've tried 15 different materials made out of seaweed, tapioca starch, cornstarch, aluminium, but nothing solved the problem like plastic did, right? And you look around a supermarket, you will not find a single product without plastic in their packaging. Yeah. India being such a vast country with such diverse climatic conditions, plastic is the only thing that can keep food safe, right? Away from moisture and oxygen.
Whatever said and done, there's no alternative to plastic yet.
There's nothing, right? So as a chemical engineer,
not in the bubblegum space.
Yeah, not to be chewed. So I'm saying you are not chewing good. You're not chewing plastic, but the packaging is plastic, right? So that's something that could have been done better.
You were able to get on a Zoom call with Anupam 2 years before or 1 year.
Not
before.
A Zoom call. It was 9 months before we went into the tank. December 2023 is when we went into the tank.
And how did you get that? How did you unlock
Feb 23 is he ordered the gums on our website. And me being the founder, that picky founder, I actually look at every name of the person who orders on the website. And I said, hey, to Anupam Mittal, naam is Anupam Mittal. There could be a lot of Anupam Mittals. I looked that phone number up and I found it was actually the Anupam Mittal, and I waited for like 4-5 days until he received the gums. And I asked him like, hey, we got to know you ordered. Did you like the gums? And he said,
we got to know you ordered.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
did you actually text him?
I said, hey, my team told me that you ordered.
Although it was bigger than
although it was me who looked at the mail. And
well, he's been there a long time to know. But anyway.
And I asked him, "Do you like the gum?" He said, "It's awful."
Oh, he said that? Literally?
Yeah, he said it's awful. Chewing gum is something people usually get excited about. Chewing gum maybe natural घुसा रहे हो. How will you solve?
He texted you all this, or was it a call?
No, it was a WhatsApp text. Too bad that I don't have screenshots of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was one of the darkest days of my Gudgum times, because I said, this is like the world coming crashing down. It's like somebody you look up to as a businessman. He didn't like your product. What do you do?
You're expecting validation, if nothing.
Exactly, right? And then I just dusted myself off. I stood up, I dusted myself off. I said, okay, how can we make him like the product? And then we took that feedback.
What did you ask him? How did you ask him?
No, so he said the packaging is not that great. Cool, let's solve for the packaging. The flavor does not last as long. Cool, let's work on it. And believe me or not, a startup is always work in progress. Our chewing gums will not taste the same as what it tasted last week to this week to the week after, because we're continuously making changes.
Because it's an acquired taste.
No, because we're continuously also making changes to our ingredients, right? Like there's a lot of different approaches we take with respect to making the product. So there are certain companies that put in 6-7 years of R&D to come up with a master product, and there are companies like us who make a product and
keep reiterating. But then you don't develop a palate taste. You don't develop a memory in your palate of the consumer.
Actually, people don't have that yet.
They don't have that yet with Gudgum.
Yes, because it takes a lot of time. A Maggie has been around for how old I am. So I can know if Maggie has changed something, I can understand. It's something we eat every day. But Gudgums, we're just 2 years old. So and then 9 months down the line, we got Anupam invest in our company. So,
but I want to get back to this. Did you send him some more samples?
No, he did not.
As a follow-up, did you stay in touch with him?
Absolutely not.
You didn't stay in touch with him. I'm just curious, how did he remember some random WhatsApp conversation 9 months later? That's very unusual.
That's the quality of a good investor, or that's the quality of a good, I'd say, person. Like,
and do you think he bought it?
If for example, you don't remember me 9 months down the line, or I don't remember you 9 months down the line, that's not good on my part or your part, right?
And Puneet Surana. Podcast called Galata.
No. I mean, I'm saying that's the quality of a good person. He remembered us. He ordered the product.
Do you think
it's something he cared about.
I'm just curious because he did not come across as a regular gum eater anyways.
Yeah.
Did he actually order just to see if it's a company that's worth
investing in? Absolutely.
Do you think so?
Because we make gums for Perfora, which is one of their portfolio companies, and probably when Perfora launched our co-branded products with them, he said, hey, who are these guys making chewing gum for Perfora? Let's also order these products.
So you're working with Perfora as Gudgum?
Yes, Perfora X Gudgum. It's a collaboration.
Yeah. Sorry, what is Perfora? I know it's a toothpaste.
Perfora is a oral care brand, a new age oral care brand, again using clean ingredients. And
how did you get that order? How did you get that collaboration?
Collaboration is very easy in the startup space because everybody wants to piggyback on each other's audiences, to be honest, right? And
but
when there's
like 4,000 at the time of Shark Tank is what I remember.
Yeah. But so the potential is what mattered, right? And they were also looking for a mobile mouth freshener, right? So they are in the oral care space. They make mouthwashes, they make toothpaste, toothbrushes, but they don't have a mouth freshener that people can carry along with them. So they were looking for a chewing gum. And the founder is a dear friend. We were just having a conversation. I said, yeah, let's make a chewing gum. He said, तुम्हें toothpaste के flavor की बना सकता है? मैंने बोला जो चाहिए वो बना देंगे. And it just happened over a coffee.
Tell me more.
Yeah, so I was saying collaboration in startups is very easy. When I'd say, if I want to do a coffee flavored gum, I can go to a Sleepy Owl and say, hey, let's make a co-branded chewing gum. Because you've got your brand name, I've got my brand name. We can cross-sell or cross-promote our products. And that's how we can tackle big fish like the giants of like Unilevers and the Nestle's of the world. So collaborative approach is the way to go. We're actually...
I like that, how we're doing collaborative and self...
Yeah, a co-branded product. Because I know my chewing gum, you know your audience, let's make a co-branded. Now we're doing a matcha chewing gum with this company called Tencha, which is India's largest importer of green tea, matcha green tea. So we're making a matcha chewing gum with their green tea, and it's a Gudgum X Tencha product, which will be sold on both the websites.
Do these work? These collaborations work?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, 100%. There's a lot of spillover marketing that happens. People who buy the chewing gum on Perfora's website will get the packaging. They eventually look, oh, good gum. Probably look at good gum, buy from us as well. So there's a lot of spillover that happens.
And does the numbers work?
We've not quantified it, but definitely it works. There's no reason why it should not. Because again, it's a straight up business deal, right? You're not losing anything. You're giving the gums to them at a discounted price because they're also putting your brand name on the product. As simple as that.
But it's not at a loss. It's at a very small margin.
Yeah, correct. It's a win-win.
It's a win-win. I like that. I should do that with my podcast too. You think so? Put some names in the comments I should collaborate with.
Yeah.
I'd love to reach out to them.
Exactly.
I want to understand what led you to these other businesses that you have your feet in, Mayank, because you got into Softy that I have one of my dreams is to have a Softy machine in my bedroom. Because whenever I want to, I work out from my bedroom. Nothing else.
Yeah.
Whenever I want, I can go get a chocolate Softy.
Yeah.
But I want to understand what's your fascination or obsession with Softy?
No, I always, when I grew up, I thought my retirement plan would be this, that I'd own a gelato parlor. I'd sit there at the galla, do the money counting stuff and be happy when people are consuming ice creams and having a smile on their face. But then I thought, let's hasten this up and let's do it while I'm just 25 years old.
What's a gelato factory?
Gelato, it was just an idea that we could do a gelato ice cream parlor. Gelato is ice creams. It's Italian ice creams. It's denser ice cream.
Is gelato and gelatin the same?
No.
Oh, okay.
Gelato is a different variant of ice cream. You've got like soft serves, which is soft. You've got gelatos, which is soft serve has a lot of air in it. Gelato don't have a lot of air in it. Ice cream have a little bit of air in it. So that's how you differentiate. So gelato is an Italian way of making ice creams. So you can go check these stores out. Collect Milano in Jayanagar. That's a gelato. Yeah, that's a gelato parlor. So I wanted to do something like that when I retired, but Softy is something that I grew up eating. 90s kid Bangalore.
Which was your favorite Softy?
MTR had a lot of these.
Yeah, I don't know why they shut it.
Yeah, it was a loss making. They used to. I don't know what their deal was. 5 rupee Softy across Bangalore. They'd invest in the machine, give the machine to the supermarket guy. And I ate a lot of Softies while I was growing up. And now when we were about 25, 26 years old, the only Softies available in Bangalore was either a KFC or a McDonald's or the Rich and the Sukhsagar.
Yeah,
Rich and the Karnataka Pehlaos, yes. But the Rich and Sukhsagar, probably 150 rupees, 120 rupees a soft serve, which is
that 2 rupee
obnoxious price.
That is silly.
Yeah.
That's insulting.
And with my friends, I knew all of us had, like a very complementary skill set. Somebody excelled in marketing, somebody excelled in finance, somebody excelled in accounts. I knew all the product. I said, hey, all of us, let's just invest 40,000-50,000 rupees per person. And
that's it?
That's all. And then I said that, on the paper. So you pretty much
set up that shop with like some 6 lakhs, 5-6 lakhs?
Yes.
Unusual. Okay.
Yeah. And I said, let's, we'll make profit enough to go to Goa every year without having to borrow money from our parents. That was the only motive to do that business. And our initial idea was to pop up. We'd never.
Khilayenge, Goa jayenge.
Exactly.
Okay.
This store came up very late. We started soft serves also in 2020. The store we opened only in 2023. The first 3 years.
About is
the Soft Corner.
The Soft Corner
in Vivipuram.
Link in the show description.
Yeah.
If you visit Bangalore, do drop by.
Yeah. So initially our idea was
soft serve. Yeah.
Initially, the idea was to do pop-ups where we'd set up the machines outside restaurants or cafes that didn't have ice creams on the menu.
That's a very neat business.
Yes, it is. Until we realized it's not. Because you can't build loyalty because you're like a gypsy. You're probably not going to be at a place for a long duration, but you'll probably be shuffling places. So there was a lot of consumers falling apart because, not falling apart is the wrong way, but a lot of consumers that we missed because they thought we would be in Vivipuram, but then we had shifted to Sadashiv Nagar. And then when we built up a loyal base in Sadashivnagar, we moved back to Vipuram. We're like,
Why did you have to move? Why couldn't
because we were looking at different restaurants, figuring out what would work best for us.
So you're exploring with just one or two machines, and you were
Exactly.
Okay.
And our online presence was so neat and so nice. People thought it was an actual ice cream parlor. And our the guys who manned the machines and made the swirls told us कि सर यहाँ तो लोग Mercedes कार में आते हैं 6 लोग और वो आके देखते हैं यहाँ तो सिर्फ मशीन है बैठने की तो जगह ही नहीं है. And we realized, okay, maybe we're doing this wrong. We should probably have a store where people can peacefully come, sit down, like
so
have a good chat.
So what did this experiment actually cost you? 2 Goa trips?
We did burn quite some money in the first 2 years.
Quite some money.
About 2 lakhs.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's still all right. I mean, it was not best
Between
case
6
scenario.
of you or 7 of you, it wasn't much.
And then we said, we took a hard call. We said, okay, let's open a store. Vipuram is where we all grew up. All of us are in the vicinity. Like just 1 kilometer radius from all our homes. And
so anybody can drop by.
Yeah, and we said, okay, this is like our last stint. If this works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And the rest is history. Now everything's good. We're making good profits. We're looking to give out franchises.
If you're looking to get franchisees.
Yeah, Instagram, the Softcorner. .in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me more. 7 of you got together. Why did you choose the hardest possible road right opposite Corner House? And there's another one. There's some Korean.
There's Have More.
No, there's Have More. There's
Yeah.
Corner House. And then there's some Korean corner that just got away. But
Yeah.
and this is away from the cow gully.
Yeah.
I mean,
Doesn't matter, dude.
why did you choose?
We were looking at the spillover crowd.
And this is like, huh?
We were looking at the spillover crowd. We are never competing with Corner House. I still go and eat in Corner House. Right? What we were looking for is that location is good. People come on this road to eat ice cream at Corner House or Have More. And if 1,000 people are coming to this store on a particular day, if even 50 come to our store, that's a win.
Right. Let's try something new.
Our cost of acquiring a customer, if we put our store anywhere else, would be higher. In this case, because we were right opposite Corner House, people automatically saw us, and there would be a few adventurous people who would say, hey, let's cruise Corner House today. Let's go try something new. And that potential to convert that customer is equally higher. So I think it's like how SP Road in Bangalore. Everybody's selling the same laptops, the same printers, but everybody has good business because everybody who wants the printer will be on that street.
I'm just curious, your price points are at par with Corner House.
Yeah.
Was that a conscious choice?
It was a conscious choice. We never wanted to undercut. We are using premium quality milk, premium quality ingredients, premium quality toppings, sauces, packaging. So why underprice just because there's a big fish opposite you selling at the same price? Your consumer is different, their consumer is different. A person who likes, like you mentioned, you want a softie machine in your room and not an ice cream machine because you like softies. Yeah. No matter what, you're going to go to Softcorner and not Corner House because Corner House gives you a different experience than
I go to KVH because
correct.
And it works with my palate.
Yeah. So Softcorner.
Softcorner.
It's a different consumer altogether. There's no point comparing prices.
Yeah.
And that's I'd say more than comparing the prices with Corner House, what we thought of was how much does an average consumer spend on eating out usually, and anything lower than that sounds substandard.
How much does an average person spend on ice cream in Vipuram?
$50-$70. That's Naturals. A scoop of ice creams in Naturals is 90 rupees today. And Naturals is like the holy grail of ice cream, I'd say. A Baskin Robbins, I don't know when you went last, each scoop of ice cream in a waffle cone costs $200.
Yeah.
200 rupees.
We are
very low. And we are not competing with the packed ice creams like a Cornetto or a Have More. It's a completely different ball game. This is like freshly churned.
I wanted to ask you about a professor at Nottingham that I was asked to, who really was fond of you. I can't read his name correctly, but let me try. Neil Doherty.
Yeah.
Professor Neil Doherty. Tell me about him. He's so
Who
fun.
gave you this tip?
Dude, I get tips from too many people. I make a lot of calls. I'm a good podcaster. Come sponsor me.
Yeah.
Tell me about Neil Doherty, about this professor and how.
So I spent a lot of time in the lab. So it was a 1-year master's course, and the last 3 months was actually a hands-on
Master's
internship in food production management.
Thank you.
And the last 3 months was actually working with external company, solving problems for them. So a lot of my friends went off to the large brands like the Mondelez and the Cadburys and the Kellogg's off-site on their factories. And I was working with a startup because I wanted to start up as well. I said, okay, I'm going to work with a startup, solve problems for a small company. And that's why I was on campus. And when all of my classmates were out in different towns, there was only 4 or 5 people working out of the lab. And that's when, I spent a lot of time with Neil. He would give me all sorts of ideas that, okay, if not this, you should try this. If not that, you should try this. And I think we struck a good bond also because we used to have a lot of lab work even before the project where people had to deal with sausage. People had to make sausages in the lab, and Neil was.
What do you mean by sausage?
Sausage is pork.
Okay.
It's meat. So
the one that is in between hot dogs?
Yes, that's a sausage. Correct.
Okay. It's not a sauce, it's a sausage.
Sausage, yeah.
Okay.
So
I know I'm very vegetarian.
Yeah. So we had hands-on projects to do trials and figure out what's wrong with this and what's not wrong with this. And I was quite obviously hesitant to even touch. And I said, I'm not going to do this. And Neil is like, yeah, I understand. It's completely respected. So I think also because we stayed on campus, he used to cycle to campus from his home with a GoPro on his head, recording the whole ride. And I asked him why. He said, what if there's an accident that happens in front of me? I need to have footage so I can support the person who's really right or wrong.
A dash cam for a bicycle.
Yeah. He's a very interesting guy, and we used to just have
this guy
normal.
Is all about safety.
Yeah, good life chats. It was not more of a student-teacher bond, but more of And even now, I think I keep in touch with him. I did send some products with a friend of mine who went to study there.
Big shout out to Dhruv.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And when we used to stay on campus, the only friends you had were your people who stayed on campus and the teachers.
Yeah.
And in the UK, it was in India, the equation between a teacher and a student is very different than what happens in the UK. There probably, you just go to a bar and have a beer together. That's the kind of equation. Here, you'd probably run away if you see your teacher
in a bar.
Yeah, so that's where we built that bond. And I think not just Neil, but every teacher that I worked with, I still and the fact that I think people miss out on keeping in touch. I think I make it a point to keep in touch.
How do you do that?
Just a simple courtesy message.
Like what?
Like, hey, how have you been? Just thought about you. Simple. That initial that automatically sparks a thought, right? Like, hey, there's somebody who cares for me. That's the bare minimum you can do. I think wishing birthdays might not be as effective as this, right? Okay, today I think about today probably I was eating some noodles, and I'll remember of the days when. I was eating noodles with a friend of mine. I'd say, hey, dude, I was eating this and I remembered you. Like, okay, that goes a long way. You can tend to, also get an update on his life.
Yeah, that leads to what have you been up to. And
And I'm a big believer of, not having regrets. Like, okay, I should have messaged him on that day or something like that. So I just jo man mein aaya, I just do it.
Yeah, I can see why. Yeah. I have a few rapid fire questions I want to ask you.
Karan Johar vibes, huh?
Well, people are not interested to know who's sleeping with who in the startup world, so there's no point doing a popcorn conversation.
Yeah.
It's unusual. I missed the whole Shark Tank conversation, but if you want to listen to the entire Shark Tank conversation and things before it, during it, after it, there are 3 other podcasts he's been on. I'll link them down. I don't like to talk about Shark Tank because there are too many Shark Tank founders right now. It's become
the same
cliche.
question being asked everywhere.
Yeah. So you can. That's a compliment, guys. Thank you.
It is, yeah.
So I'm glad. In fact, I got you not because of the Shark Tank, but because I'd heard about you for a while before the Shark Tank, and around the Shark Tank, of course, the content just went up, and that's why I'm like, okay, somebody doing some interesting Galata.
Yeah.
We should get him. And I'm glad Pankaj, Meghna, and all of them mentioned you. So I'm glad this happened. Okay, rapid fire question. Thanks for distracting that Karan Johar comment. Very convenient. No soft corner for Karan. 3 books you would recommend founders to read.
So I don't read a lot of self-improvement. I'm a big buff on geopolitics, food security. So there's this book called Feeding Frenzy by Paul McMahon. It's a very good book about food supply chain and how why is there a huge mismatch between demand and supply in food. Very nerdy. There's this couple of books.
Everything about you is nerdy.
There's a couple of books called Prisoners of Geography and Prisoners of Geography and the sequel to that is The Future of Geography, which basically talks about how geography of a country matters so much. So very, very good read.
2 parts?
It's 2 parts, yeah. Prisoners of Geography and The Future of Geography. That's a very good book. And there's another book by a food brand founder, which is one of my favorite brands in the world, called Kind Snacks, Kind, Kind Snacks, based out of the US. And the book is called Do the Kind Thing. And the founder is called Daniel Lubetsky, I think. I'm bad with names, but he's just enlisted how he built the company and what are the values that the brand and the company has by itself. So these are 3 good books that I recommend.
Nice. Is he still alive? If yes, please connect Madi. I'll get him on Galata.
He is in the US.
We can do
online. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. One movie that you'd recommend founders to watch, or one podcast, or one series?
Founders? Not for the founders, I'd say. In this place, I don't do a lot of nerdy stuff. In this place, I do
chill stuff. Yeah. So what's a chill?
I've watched Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara at least 50 times.
50 times?
At least 50 times.
Oh, wow.
I know every dialogue.
Can you say that?
Every minute. Yeah, I can do that. I think Peaky Blinders is one of my most favorite shows because that's also about an entrepreneur, but a different kind of entrepreneur. I like Silicon Valley a lot. Silicon Valley is a good show as well.
Nice. The last item you bought, which is under 10,000 rupees, but has been very useful for you. And you can't say Gudgum or Softcorner or Softy. Yeah.
Under 10,000 bucks.
Yeah.
Recently. A pair of shoes. When I buy a pair of shoes, I wear them for like 7 years.
7 years?
Yeah. So the recent buy, my brother was in Japan. I said, okay, I want that Onitsuka Tiger pair of shoes. And I said, okay, they're going to last long. I think I buy clothes buy any clothing product very, very rarely. But when I buy, I use it for like 4 or 5 years.
Oh wow. Ab to pura usko.
Yeah, but I buy good brands, right?
You dehydrated. Choose like
no, I don't believe in fast fashion.
Ethic shoes lasted me 8 years, man.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's why I'm still in touch with
Pankaj. If you want to make it last even longer, it will last even longer.
I had to give it out to someone because I'm like, okay, now there's a little chipping. I don't want to wear this anymore. Otherwise, it's fully functional.
And now I think the millennials, they just want new clothes every quarter. The trends change every quarter.
I'm having snitches founder. Don't do this.
People, Snitch, Meesho, all of these guys, they're doing that. No, so cheap, very easy. Ek din mein delivery, no returns also hassle free. People are just massively abusing or over-consuming, I'd say.
Anything else that I should have asked you that I didn't? Because there's so many elements of you that is not out in the public.
I think everything's kind of covered. About the businesses, about the family background. Because your podcast doesn't have a general niche, else we could talk about a niche. Yours more around just Galata, right? Like everything around a person.
Yeah, so the niche is the person.
Yeah.
I can't go more niche than that. That's
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of these things that I usually also talk about is I used to be super fat and obese and underconfident in school, right? I would never, if somebody asked me to not speak in front of 100 people, I just wouldn't go to school.
So pause. Do you want to spend 5 to 7 minutes to talk about this?
Yeah.
Okay, please elaborate.
Yeah, so like I used to be short, I used to be fat, and because
How
fat? I don't know.
I mean, sorry, how much did you weigh?
But yeah, I mean, I used to probably be in the front of the line in assembly, and I used to be plump, right? Like big cheeks and fat. And as a byproduct, I would be severely underconfident, right? Like even now, I'd say I don't have a lot of friends from school that I can, give a phone call to, because I did not build those kind of bonds. I still do have a few friends, but I think a lot changed after I avidly started working out or caring about my fitness. So when I was in college, I started working out, and once I lost a little bit of weight, and I lost a little bit more of weight, and automatically the confidence boosted. I met this right sort of friends. We used to do a lot of extracurricular, co-curricular, debating, quizzing, munning, all of those things. So everything that I didn't do in school, I did in Christ for my PU and in BMS during engineering. And I'd say, I think one of the things that usually people miss on is their fitness, right? There's people talking about mental fitness, but I think even physical fitness is equally important.
I agree. The challenge I see with myself and others is we have attempted to be fit during college because there's a natural sense of pressure to be fit and look
appealing,
appealing. But right after college, I've seen my friends bloat. I've put on 10K. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So how have you continued to hold on to the fitness? Because you value it more now.
I value it more because I've seen the other side, right? Like I can never go back to being fat because I know what it feels like being fat. I know what it takes to lose off that fat. And I've never compromised on what I would eat or how much I would eat. I would eat everything. I would eat all I like. But I'd know that I'd go back to the gym and work it off, or I would run. So now it's got to a point where even if I miss my workout for a day, I feel groggy. So that's where I think.
And how do you optimize it, considering you run 3 businesses, and all of them are still at a grassroots level? It takes a lot of your time, energy, effort.
Got to have your timetable. Simple.
What's your timetable like?
I won't take any work call before 10. I won't take any work call after 7. So before 10, I'd finish my 1.5 hour workout.
What time do you just run me through?
I wake up at around 6:30, work out between 7 to 8:30, come back, read the newspaper, go to the temple. I do that also very religiously. I'd go to the temple every day, eat my breakfast, reach office by 10, go back home for lunch for like 45 minutes, come back, work until like 7, eat my dinner, and then watch TV with the family or go out and meet friends. Simple. I think one of the things that's also been blown out of proportion on Instagram is that burnout culture. That people want to post stories that, hey, I'm in office at 1 o'clock. I'm so busy. That's not something you should be showing off, right? Like I think running a business is more of a marathon than a sprint. If you're going to do a 2 o'clock every night and wake up at 10 in the morning every morning for 3 years, you will eventually burn out. But I feel this is like a longer run, so you got to do it sustainably. So I think
good game.
I think when you called me on Sunday, I told you that
you pretty much didn't take the call. I'm like, dude, you take the call, don't take it. I want you on the show.
Yeah, exactly. So
I just went through what I had to say.
Yeah, correct. But usually a lot of people be like, no, I need to know right now. Like, no, I can't answer it right now. Today is a Sunday. It is a holiday.
Had I spent 10 more seconds with you, I would have gotten in your calendar on the bloody call.
I mean, that's your,
because
it's a compliment to you again. But a few of my friends, wouldn't even call me on a Sunday because they know that I would not take that call. I would be at
Why did you
home.
take my call? I'm just curious. Because it was an unknown number?
Exactly.
Or
yeah.
because you had a reference?
No. I think Pankaj had sent me a message, but I just saw Pankaj's message. I didn't see the number. I didn't recognize it. But because it was an unknown number, I just courtesy. I pick calls. But if it's work call, I'll say, please drop me a text. Simple.
So Sundays you don't work, Saturdays?
Saturdays I work.
You work.
Saturdays I work until 7. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm like strongly against that burnout culture that people.
I'm double clicking on this because you have Softcorner that's open till 12, I guess. I've seen it open till late as well.
But I don't even go there. We probably spend 2 hours a week on Softcorner. We have an all hands meeting on Saturdays 5 to 7, and that's purely to see how the last week went, what should we do the next week, troubleshoot, out. Everything else is autopilot.
So where do you spend most of your time in the week?
Gudgum. In my office. For the Softcorner, we don't even have an office.
Yeah. That is the office, pretty much, or around it.
We'll probably meet at one of our friends' offices and work from
or at Corner House. Coming to the final question, but before the final question, where can they reach out to you?
On my LinkedIn, Mayank B. Nagori. Instagram, Nagorio, I create a lot of content around food literacy. People don't know what they're eating, how they're eating. And I really, wish that people could read labels and identify good products for themselves. And I, actively do these workshops where I go to schools and talk to students, talk to their parents, give them a basic understanding of processed food, because there's a lot of noise around food influencers on Instagram where people are just fear-mongering and calling every processed food bad, but that's not how it should be. There are lots of processed foods out there which are supreme. There's no preservatives, there's no chemicals, just like Gudgum. So I think as a person who has the credibility to talk about processed food, I want to go extra mile and educate people about processed food. So Instagram at Nagorio, Nagorio.
Okay. Do reach out to him. At the bare minimum, follow him and then buy some good gums. It's crazy. I haven't even shown this. Though I asked him, I insisted he get these. There's so much more to talk about: the packaging, the way you've gotten the flavors, the experimentations, the iterations. But I'll keep that for the next episode. I want to come to the final question. What is the impact you seek to make through Gudgum for now?
I'd say I think chewing gum for us was the easiest way to enter a person's daily routine, right? Like for us, you consuming this product is more like an impact metric where I can say one more person has been educated about chewing gums containing plastic, right? We want to reduce the amount of people consuming plastic chewing gums. So when we go out to markets, we strongly talk to people. We say every chewing gum is plastic, Gudgum is not. If they buy the product, great. Even if they don't buy the product, that's a win for us. So the longer achievement that we want to see is, people completely stop chewing artificial plastic chewing gums, and if we can give employment to at least 200 people, and we actively hire women with incomplete educational backgrounds, because for roles like packing and dispatch, because they have the best eye for detail. So I think I'd want to reach a point where we're employing at least 200 women. That would be a great achievement for us.
Yeah, but may the force be with you.
And Padma Shri for myself. I mean, that's the bucket list. Nice. When people ask, like, what's your bucket list?
Padma Shri.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be on like Forbes 30 under 30 or any of that, but get recognized by for whatever work I do. That's the goal.
Yeah. On that note, go and make some Galata.